I need you to hear this today, not tomorrow, not when things get better, not when you finally feel strong enough to receive it. Right now, in the middle of whatever you are currently carrying, in the middle of the doubt and the exhaustion and the quiet grief of feeling like you gave everything you had to people and situations that treated what you offered like it meant nothing. They took you for granted. And not in the small, forgivable way that people sometimes do when life gets busy and attention gets divided. In the deep, deliberate way. The way that required them to look directly at what you were bringing to their life, at the loyalty you were extending, at the love you were pouring out without reservation, and make a conscious decision that it was not worth protecting, that you were not worth protecting. And somewhere in the middle of watching yourself be undervalued by the very people who should have recognized what they had, something in you started to believe them, started to absorb their treatment of you as evidence of your actual worth, started to shrink, started to question whether the things you brought to the table were as significant as you once believed them to be. That ends today. Because what I am about to tell you is going to shift something in your spirit that is needed shifting for a very long time.
Like this video right now, because this message was sent for every chosen one who has been sleeping on their own value and needs to wake up today. Drop an amen in the comments if you have ever poured everything into someone who treated it like it was nothing. And subscribe to this channel, because what God is about to reveal to you in this season about your own worth is something you cannot afford to receive alone. Here is what is happening right now that you cannot see from where you are standing. They are starting to feel it, not dramatically, not in a single moment of sudden realization that hits them all at once like a flood, slowly. The way the absence of something essential always makes itself known, first as a mild discomfort they cannot quite name, then as a restlessness that follows them into spaces where they used to feel completely at ease, then as a growing awareness that something that was always there, something they never thought to be grateful for because they assumed it would always be there, is no longer present in the way it used to be. Your energy is leaving those spaces, and the moment your energy fully withdraws from the people and places that never deserved it is the moment everything changes, not just for you, for them. Because what you carried into every room you entered, what you brought to every relationship you invested in, what you offered to every person you chose to love was not ordinary, it was rare. It was the kind of rare that people only recognize the full value of when it is no longer available to them. They are beginning to understand that now. Let me show you something about the way God works in these situations, because this is going to give you a perspective that changes how you carry yourself from this day forward. God never allows someone to truly recognize what they lost while they still have it. That is not how this works. The full weight of what you represented in someone's life cannot be felt while you are still present, because your presence itself softens the reality of what life without you actually looks like. It is only in your absence, in the growing silence where your voice used to be, in the empty space where your investment used to show up consistently and reliably, that the truth of what was taken for granted becomes impossible to ignore. This is why your withdrawing is not petty. It is not weakness dressed up as strength. It is not you running from something you should be facing. It is the natural and necessary consequence of a chosen one finally beginning to align their energy with their actual value. And that alignment, that quiet, dignified withdrawal of what was never appreciated, is one of the most powerful things you can do. Not for revenge, never for revenge, but for realignment, for the redirecting of everything you carry toward the people, the spaces, and the purposes that were actually built to receive it and honor it and grow from it the way it was always meant to be received. Drop an amen in the comments right now if you are done pouring your gifts into spaces that were never built to hold them. Now I need to speak to something that has been keeping you stuck in the cycle of being undervalued, and it requires honesty.
You kept going back. Not because you were weak, but because you carry a depth of loyalty that made leaving feel like betrayal, even when staying was the thing that was actually destroying you. Because you are the kind of person who believes in people, even when the evidence suggests you should have stopped believing a long time ago. Because the love you carry is not the kind that turns off easily, and the hope you extend is not the kind that gives up without a fight. Those qualities are not your problem. They are some of the most beautiful things about you. But they were being aimed at the wrong targets. And every time you went back, every time you extended one more chance to people who had already shown you exactly who they were and how they intended to treat what you offered, you delayed the moment of your own elevation. Because here is the truth that nobody told you clearly enough. You cannot rise to the level that was written over your life while you are still kneeling down, trying to make yourself small enough to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold everything you carry. The elevation requires the exit. The promotion requires the separation. The next chapter requires you to close the one you have been trying to rewrite for far too long.
Here is what the moment of their realization is actually going to look like, and I want you to be prepared for it, because it is coming sooner than you think. It is not going to come with a dramatic apology. It is not going to arrive as a grand gesture of acknowledgement that finally gives you everything you deserve to receive while you were still there. It is going to come quietly, in the moments when they reach for what you used to provide and find nothing there, in the conversations where they look for the kind of depth you used to bring and realize the people around them cannot offer it, in the achievements and the milestones and the ordinary Tuesday afternoons when something good happens and the first person they want to tell is someone who is no longer available to receive that call. That is when it lands. That is when the full weight of what they lost settles on them in a way that cannot be rationalized away or minimized or buried under the comfortable story they told themselves about why you leaving was not a significant loss. And where will you be in that moment? Already gone. Already elevated, already so deep into the next chapter of your life that the chapter they are finally beginning to grieve is something you can barely remember from where you were standing. That is not cruelty, beloved. That is the natural order of things when a chosen one finally starts walking in the direction their calling was always pointing toward. Father, I thank you for every chosen one receiving this word today. I thank you that the moment of realization for every person who undervalued them is already scheduled, that the awareness of what was lost is already growing in the spirits of those who took for granted what was priceless. I declare that every chosen one hearing this is stepping into a new alignment today, that the energy they were wasting on spaces that did not deserve it is being redirected toward the destiny that has been waiting patiently for them to arrive. I declare that what is ahead of them is so extraordinary that what is behind them will lose its pull completely. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. The moment they realize they lost you is closer than you think, chosen one.